This podcast is produced by Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency. The Collective Us, an NMCAA podcast, focuses on inspiring you through stories of those we've helped through our programming or by linking local resources to community members in need. Join us as we learn about the programs offered through NMCAA and how we touch people's lives every day. Thank you for joining us on The Collective Us. I'm Erica Austin.
And I'm Ryan Buck. Well, Erica, can you believe we are here for our 50th episode?
Oh my gosh, yes and no. It feels like we just got started on this amazing journey.
It does.
But also, it feels like we've kind of been doing it forever. It feels kind of routine at this point, right?
Right.
In fact, can you believe we've been doing this podcast for almost 2 years?
Amazing. And we've done some pretty cool things along that way.
Absolutely.
There's so much to talk about at NMCAA and so many wonderful stories to tell. It inspires me each day. I get to come learn more about the good work NMCAA is doing in our region and how the programs directly impact the community.
I too am inspired not only by the work being done, but by the people I get to work alongside each day and how they continue to show up every day with the passion that they have to do the good work in our community.
Over the course of this journey, we have had incredible guests, inspiring conversations, and truly meaningful takeaways. So today we wanted to pause and revisit some of those moments that really resonated with us, and hopefully they did with you too.
Well, let's get into it.
One episode that really stood out to me, if I'm being honest, was our conversation with John McClintock, NMCAA's Supportive Services for Veterans Family Supervisor. His story about a client, a veteran that he visited who was in the fetal position under the kitchen table when he arrived, who overcame his situation and ended up a homeowner, was so powerful.
Make a long story short, he exited out of the program. He was making really good money. He was doing great. He didn't need me, and he was empowered, okay? Calls me up about a year later, and he says, hey, it's me, to introduce himself. I won't give his name on the podcast, but he says, hey, I just wanted to reach out to you. I don't know if you've heard. I mean, I'm friends with the landlords. I'm surprised he didn't tell me, but he goes, you know the place you moved me into? I said, yeah. He goes, I own it now. I wanted you to know that I've gone from fetal position under my kitchen table, and I let you come over and see me like that, which he goes, I can't believe I did that. But I've gone from that to a homeowner. And I want you to know that and I cut him off. And I said, before you use pronouns, you got to say SSVF. And he goes, SSVF, help me get there. I said, thank you.
I remember that story. That was episode 40. And the way John explained navigating that client's experience, meeting the needs of the client and helping him build resilience and hope was absolutely incredible. It reminded me why we do this podcast, sharing stories that uplift and empower.
Absolutely. I love our stories. Do you have an inspiring guest story you like to share just off the cuff?
Oh, Ryan, we have so many stories. I think one that I find really inspiring is a story we've heard time and time again. But this particular one was NMCAA's employee, Judy Abernathy. Mm-hmm. When she told her story, she showed some self-doubt. Mm-hmm. Judy came to us as a parent of a Head Start student 33 years ago and went on to sub in a classroom, then was hired as an assistant and eventually offered education and has been a teacher with us for 3 decades. I remember her saying, I was flattered they'd ask me, but she had some potential and NMCAA invested in her. And now her classroom staff is also prior parents of the program because she recruits other parents to her classroom like she was recruited.
That's right.
Many years ago, I had signed up my son for a Head Start classroom program. And I was planning on volunteering every week in Head Start. And I volunteered for many, many months. And then they had asked me if I wanted to be a sub in the classroom. And I was so flattered. It's like, yeah, I never even thought of such a thing. So then it started as a sub, and then an assistant teacher job opened up, and they asked me if I was interested in being an assistant teacher. Said yes to that because I was so flattered. And then that led to me taking classes that they had paid for, and eventually ended up as a lead teacher.
I always get amazed by the support NMCAA gives to people, especially when it relates to helping them further education.
Yeah.
And then her way of recruiting, similarly, is Brilliant. That was a
Yeah.
good one. We've heard many times the story of parent to teacher,
Yeah.
which is great. You can hear Judy's story in episode 29.
Throughout the show, I wanted to provide some stats in this episode about our podcast.
All right.
Over the course of 50 episodes on this show, we've had 79 guest appearances.
Wow.
I know. Can you believe that? That's
and actually,
insane.
that's a larger number than I thought.
Yeah. And then one who definitely needs to be recognized as the first 5-timer. Maybe we need a 5-timer club like SNL,
Oh, really?
maybe?
Somebody's been on the show 5 times?
Yeah. Any guesses who it might be?
I don't know.
The one and only Carrie Bachman,
Oh, there you go.
executive director.
Episode 1 starting with, huh?
Yeah, she was episode 1. She did a couple of impact
Oh my
reports with
gosh.
us. And
And
yeah.
a superstar at the live episode, if you don't mind my saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to some lessons learned. I know you have heard me say this many times because at work and throughout my life, I feel like I'm being annoying by being the quote unquote podcast girl.
Oh, the podcast girl.
Because I'm constantly referring to something that someone said on this show. So I have a few things that have stuck with me in particular regarding homelessness. This was a topic that when we first started this podcast, I was really uncomfortable with.
Mhm.
It's not something that I ever experienced or have been close to or known anyone who has been homeless. But as we talk more about it, I've gained a little bit of a knowledge base and I feel more comfortable talking about the topic and its impact. So hearing the stories of our clients and the work that our NMCAA team does, it's so inspiring.
That's great to hear.
Yeah. So on episode 31, Victoria Purvis is from our sister agency, NMCAA, on the east side of the state. You can hear her say during one part in this episode, the receptionist at the dentist office could be homeless and you'd never know.
That's right. I remember.
And that struck me. I remember kind of like being jaw dropped, like, wow, you never know what someone's going through in their personal life. It's another good reminder to also just be kind to others because
Yeah.
you just don't know what they're facing at the end of their day.
And homelessness doesn't have one particular appearance.
Absolutely. Yeah. The other time that this topic struck me was when our homeless programs director, Sarah Hughes, said if every apartment complex would dedicate 1 unit to low income or housing the homeless, we could end homelessness. It's such an incredible statement. Let it sink in. We could end homelessness.
Absolutely.
That's
And it's
insane.
data driven. We talk about data a lot on the show.
Mhm.
And she was really profound and a lot of passion. But throughout the various episodes of the show, there are a lot of really staggering statistics that are well researched and well presented that allow NMCAA to inform their decisions on how
Mhm.
they're deploying resources. But that's, there are a lot of big problems that you tackle.
Mhm.
And a lot may never be solved, right?
Yeah.
Like, what a
Yeah.
wild thing. But there's one that maybe could have maybe we did it. We got close to doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Well, Ryan, what about you? Is there something interesting you've learned along the way?
Something I found fascinating was the dynamic we had specifically in the room when we talked about donors and community partners with Jay Zrimick, an MCAA consultant, and Tina Schuett. She's the founder of Pour From War and owner of Rare Bird Brewery. I think that was episode 32.
Yeah.
It was a really great conversation about how everyone can contribute, whether it's $1 or $1 million, and just the importance of giving back to the community you live in is what's important. So I liked redefining what giving meant. And again, NMCAA and partnerships. I'm
Yeah.
always so amazed by
Yeah.
the great partners and how well you engage them.
Yeah, it's interesting, the partnerships like you talk about. We do have so many partners, and it's always so hard to call out all of them.
Right.
But that was a really fun episode. And while it's never a requirement to pay for our services, the programs are always in need of additional funding sources. So this is also a good time to remind the collective, if you are able to make a donation, we will have a link in the show notes. You can also go to nmcaa.net/donate, and you can donate right there on our website. Let's give you another stat here, Ryan. We have had 4 board members on this show and 3 volunteers. Board members and volunteers play such a huge, crucial role in allowing our programs to operate.
I love the fact that we've been able to, let's say, demystify NMCAA and get to how it operates.
Yeah.
Because when people can understand that, I feel that they can find a sense of belonging because there's so many volunteer opportunities. But I like to remember to focus on the importance of the board.
Yeah.
the caliber of individuals that you have on the board and engage are so impressive.
Yeah.
And they're giving, not just in their time, but how they give in other ways
Yeah.
is amazing. And if I remember correctly, the board is made up of 3 sectors. It's a third public or elected officials, a third consumer or community representatives, and a third private or client representatives, right?
Absolutely, you got it. It's great to see the representation of the various sectors of the community on the board. And the board structure is true among all community action agencies across the nation. So I think that's a pretty cool way to have that structure. Let's take a moment and call out some career milestone achievements. We do have to do that here.
Yay.
In April, we have one employee who is celebrating 10 years with us, and everyone at NMCAA knows our facilities coordinator. She's all over the region. So if you see her and you hear this episode, give her a big shout out. Kelly Stockfish. Congrats, Kelly, on your 10 years, and thank you for everything you do.
A decade.
A whole decade.
Very cool. Was the office the same color when Kelly started?
That's a good question.
You know, the logo was different.
The logo was different. I'm sure she's made lots of changes.
All right.
One thing, when I first started, she was changing out all the like artwork on the walls. And I'm not sure what it was before, but now it's all very like nature,
nice.
Waves, water, things. Very, very beautiful work.
Like the peacefulness, the serenity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, congratulations, Kelly. That's amazing. We have briefly mentioned community partners, but NMCAA couldn't do a lot of the work they do without the community partners.
You're right. We rely heavily on support from our community partners. We've had a total of 21 community partners on this show and many more mentioned as sponsors of various events. Hey, Ryan, do you have a favorite community partner moment?
I do.
Yeah?
I really do. Cara Gregory, she is the owner of Power Book Bags. She was on episode 24 talking about the origin story of her organization. And she's somebody who I've seen since in the community. And she's just an amazing person who wants to do good here. And by partnering up with her books are given to so many kids across the region, including many of the early Head Start students enrolled with NMCAA.
Yeah, I loved Cara's story as well. Another fun partner moment we had on the show was with Marshall Willoughby and Terry Denoyer. They're 2 of our contractors who work with us on our weatherization projects. They provided so many fun, great tips and tricks for homeowners, and I found that to be quite interesting and took a couple of those tips home with me as well.
Yes.
But I see clients try to block off rooms often and create pressure imbalances in the house by trying to minimize the heat delivered to a room, which can make your furnace work harder as it's not.
What would blocking off a room look like? How does that manifest?
They think they're going to save on their heat bill by turning off supply registers, closing those supply registers in Aunt Millie's room or the kids' room when they go off to college, or they're not saving any money. In fact, they're probably costing themselves a little more.
Because it's working the furnace harder. Oh, my goodness, that's interesting.
That was a fun episode, and you can hear all the tips and tricks on episode 39, as well as all of the great resources that you can find on nmcaa.net.
Looking back at these moments, I feel so grateful for everyone who's been a part of the collective us, our guests, our listeners, and of course, our amazing team here at New Leonard Media.
Absolutely. Like another partner in the podcast, and sounding good and feeling good in the studio is really important, and New Leonard Media makes that happen. The podcast is about community, connection, and growth. And we couldn't do that without everybody who makes the show and makes the energy of it good and positive. And we thank everybody for being a part of this journey with us.
A few reminders as we wrap up today's show. NMCAA is currently doing free tax preparation. Don't forget, tax day is April 15th. Contact one of our 3 main office locations to find out more about getting your taxes done for free today.
It's not too late to fill out those interest forms for Head Start and GSRP. If you have a child who is 3 to 4 years old and are interested in free preschool options, go to nmcaa.net to fill out the interest form today.
Well, Ryan, it's time. You know what to do.
All right. My take is very simple. I am grateful to be here every time I'm here. And I don't want it to be about me, but I guess it's going to be because I personally take so much joy in being a part of this show and communicating with the amazing employees and partners of NMCAA. So I personally get incredible uplift and joy from being a part of this. And it's more than I could hope for. At 50 episodes, it's very fulfilling. So my personal cup is very filled because of this. So I'm very grateful to you. Thank you, Erica.
Well, you're so welcome. And I want to echo your statement there because I am also very thankful. And I think we've stated before, that this podcast kind of came out of nowhere. I had only been with NMCAA for about 2 months when we started the show, and it was not on my things that I thought I would be doing as the marketing manager, but it's been an absolute blessing. And I'm so thankful every time I get to walk in this room as well, because it is fun. I learn more every time we sit down with partners or guests, whomever might walk through the door. And it's just, you're right. It's really uplifting and positive energy every time. So even though sometimes we dig down in some of those stories
Tougher topics,
it's always really inspiring. So
remarkable.
Absolutely.
And unique. So thank you again for listening. And thank you, Erica, for
thank you,
being the
Ryan.
hostess with the mostest.
Well, thanks for sitting next to me. And thank you for listening today. If you haven't listened to all 50 episodes, what are you waiting for?
There are so many wonderful stories, and they're all worth a listen. We appreciate you being here.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share this episode or the show link on social media. Follow the podcast to know when a new episode drops, and rate the show. It truly helps spread the word on all the good NMCAA does in the community.
If you would like to become a sustaining donor with a recurring gift or contribute a one-time donation, please check out nmcaa.net/donate or send us a message at collectiveuspodcast@nmcaa.net.
To learn more about Northwest Michigan Community Action Agency or the programs we offer, or if you'd like to make a donation, we encourage you to reach out at 231-947-3780 or visit our website, nmcaa.net. And to the collective today, we encourage you to continue to strive each day to do something to help yourself or your neighbors.